This story was taken from Reddit, and all credits belong to the one who posted. Special thanks to Reddit user for granting me permission to use this story. Now on with the show. It was a Friday evening, and my family was out of town. They were visiting my mom's brother. I wasn't a big fan of these family gatherings. They were boring, so I made a bad excuse and stayed at home. It seemed like a good opportunity to hang out with my friends. I sent a message in our group chat, and after an hour, there were 3 guys with a lot of food and beers at my front door. Hours passed with video games, movies, eating, drinking, and talking about the most random things. The afternoon soon became evening, and eventually, we got bored of everything. We sat down in a semicircle and waited for a spark. Minutes passed silently as everyone was thinking about what we should do. And then the horror freak, James, got an idea. "Let's tell scary stories," he recommended. "It's almost Halloween." We exchanged glances, urging each other to come up with a better idea. We weren't keen on creepy stuff. After a long moment, I let out a loud sigh. "Alright, let's do it," I said. It seems like no one has a better idea. We turned off all the lights and took turns. I was the first one. I told some urban legend I heard in a podcast. It wasn't the scariest story in the first place, but my poor storytelling skills made it worse. After me came Michael, and then David. Their stories were so unremarkable that I don't remember anything about them. Now it was James's turn. His story was the one that stuck with me, as I found it terrifying. Maybe the scariest story I have ever heard. It was a Japanese legend about an 8-foot-tall woman. It made such a great impression on me that I could still tell the story word to word. But this isn't about that story, so it would be pointless. "Okay, this was enough. Let's do something else." "What are you talking about? We just started." "Yeah, but you scared the hell out of us with your stupid story." "Oh my god, don't tell me you believe in this stuff. These are just stories made up for fun." Nobody answered and the topic was dropped. We put on a movie for background noise and the search for something fun began once again. We watched the movie for half an hour when James got his genius idea. "Hey, I know you don't want any scary stories, but what about a game?" "We already played games for like 3 hours, genius." "I'm not talking about video games, idiot. I mean something paranormal." "Come on, man. We already told you. No scary stuff," I said. "Yeah, I don't want to die yet." "Don't worry. We won't die, get possessed, nor summon a demon. In fact, it's quite useful. It answers questions that can be answered with a yes or no." We got a little interested, but still uncertain. "Any questions?" "Any questions." "How do we know that the answers are correct?" "Well, we can ask a question that can be proved right away, and if it's correct, we can keep playing. If not, then we stop with the horror stuff for today." The others had an expression that was a mix of excitement and doubt. I felt the same way, but after a moment, I nodded. Seeing this, Michael and David nodded too, so I asked James to tell us about the game. It was called the Knock Knock game. It was pretty simple. You needed a dark, empty room. The player needed to stand before the door and focus on a question that can be answered by a yes or a no. Then they had to knock. 2 quick knocks, then a break. 4 quick knocks, and a break again, and followed by 2 quick knocks. After that, the spirit answers you from the other side. 1 knock is yes, 2 is no. Alright, it's pretty simple. My room is empty, and it's already dark. We'll use that. But first, we ask a question that we can verify, although I'm pretty sure this is bull. Yeah, probably. But if it's not, it will be fun. So, what do we ask? I know. Will one of us get a call in the next 5 minutes? Not bad. We can check that easily. Then James asked the question that we all had in our minds. So, who will do it? You, of course, I said with a smile. A part of me thought that he would be scared. You were the one who wanted to play. Alright, let's do it. We went upstairs to my room. James walked up to the door and we stood a few steps behind. He let out a sigh and started. We all stood, holding our breath. None of us believed that something would happen, but still, we were spooked. And then it came. A loud bang from the other side of the door. James quickly took a step back and then looked back at us with a surprised look. We couldn't say a word. We couldn't even move. We just stood there like statues. The first one to awake was Michael. What the hell? How the hell is that even possible? He muttered. I silently pulled out my phone and stared at it. Seeing this, the others did the same. We just stood there, and after 3 minutes from the reply, my phone rang. We looked at each other with disbelief. After a few seconds, I snapped out of it and answered the phone. It was my mother, asking if everything was all right. I tried to make the call as short as possible, and after I hung up, I once again looked at the others. The three of them tried to speak at the same time, but none of them succeeded. They uttered words seemingly in random order, trying to express their surprise. It took some time for them to calm down, but after they did, their surprise quickly turned into excitement. This game was real, and it can really answer our questions. Stopping was out of the question. The debate about the order started. After we settled down, the order was Michael, David, me, and James. Michael stepped to the door and started the ritual. After finishing, the reply came fast. We simultaneously asked him what did he ask for. He replied by saying that he asked if he would get a girlfriend soon. I replied to him by saying, "Really? You didn't have a more important question?" I didn't get a reply as David interrupted by stating that it was his turn. He did the thing and waited for the answer. He turned around and looked at us with a disappointed expression. What was the question? He whispered, "I asked the same question." The three of us burst out laughing. His face that looked like he was about to cry just made it funnier. We went on for long minutes until laughing began to hurt. After we settled, I looked at him. He still looked sad. I tried comforting him by saying not to worry about it and that his time will come. But now, it's my turn. I pushed David away from the door and started focusing on my question. I wanted something more interesting. So my question was, can I come in? I did the knocking and waited for the answer with a smile. But it didn't come. I looked at James, puzzled. What now? I asked. Michael joked, saying, "Maybe you asked a question that is too hard for him. Let him think." Then we heard it.
"Come in,"
said an unnaturally deep voice from the other side. I was terrified. I wanted to get as far from the door as I could. I started backing away, but after a few steps, my legs gave in and I fell backwards. I looked behind me. David's mouth was moving, but not a single sound came out. Michael grabbed his head with both of his hands and said, "What the hell?" over and over. James just stood beside them with an open mouth, speechless. "What the hell was that? You didn't say anything about this." I don't know. This shouldn't be possible," James replied hysterically. "To hell with this." After a few silent moments, my fear turned into rage. If he wants me to go, I'll go in. I stood up, took a few steps forward and grabbed the knob. As I tried to turn it, I felt someone grabbing my shoulder and pulling me back. I heard James's voice calling to me saying, "No! Don't go inside. I don't think it's a good idea." Then what do we do? I can't go in my room ever again? Because we summoned a demon in there? No. We'll figure something out. I just have to go home and read more about it. It'll be fine," James desperately pleaded. I took a deep breath, sent everyone home, and gave James 1 hour to come up with something. After they were gone, I spent long minutes just staring at my bedroom door. This was so unbelievable, yet there was no doubt about it. The thing that snapped me out of my staring contest with the door was a very loud noise. It came from my bedroom. A chill went down my spine. I was terrified. What will happen now? I wanted to, but I couldn't leave. I sat down in front of the TV and put on a movie for distraction. Every once in a while, another bang came. I anxiously waited for James's call. It came moments before the 1 hour deadline. "So?" I spoke harshly. "What's going on?" "Okay, first of all, sorry for being an idiot. I didn't read the whole thing. It seemed like there are questions that he doesn't like, and he can be annoyed if we ask too much. I don't know which is it in our case, but it doesn't matter." Well, I had a feeling he didn't like my question. We didn't ask that many questions. When he gets angry, he takes over the room that was used in the game. After that, he tries to lure people into the room. He doesn't want only those who angered him. It doesn't matter as long as he gets someone. So what do I do about... What the hell was that? He started doing that after you guys left. You said he tries to lure us into the room, right? I think this is part of it. Now tell me, how do I stop him? It's rather easy. He can't be there for more than a day. His power fades or something like that. What? I just have to wait and problem solve? Yep, that's it. Make sure that nobody enters the room, and after 24 hours, you're free to go inside. And what if somebody enters? I don't know. Maybe no one dared to do it before, or those who did couldn't tell anyone. You mean they died? I really don't know, but it's not that hard to stay out of the room. It'll be alright. Well, that was good news. James apologized a few dozen times and we hung up. I was relieved. After all the excitement and fear, I was exhausted. I decided to get some sleep on the couch. It was really hard considering all the noise. After some time, the loud bangs became a constant, quieter knocking. Then it was reduced to some scratching noise. And finally, the loud bangs again. Surprisingly, he gave up after a while, and I fell asleep. I woke up to someone shouting my name. "Brian? Hey, Brian, I brought you a present." It was my little sister. They came home early. Let me see, I whispered, still half asleep. She didn't hear me. She didn't notice me on the couch either. She went straight to the place I was most likely to be. My room. I screamed at her not to go inside as I stood up and rushed upstairs. I was too late. The door was slightly open, and I couldn't see my sister. Just for a moment, I hesitated, but I swung open the door. Suddenly, my vision was clouded by darkness. The only thing that I could see was a wide smile. No eyes, no face, nobody. Just a smile. After that, the room became normal. It was empty, besides a Rubik's Cube on the floor. The present my sister brought me. I heard my parents running up the stairs and asking what I was shouting about, but I couldn't say a word. As I realized what happened, I began to cry. Just a few hours after, the police and a team of volunteers was already searching for her. I didn't say anything. Who would have believed me anyway? Maybe it was better this way. It allowed my parents to have a little hope. But I knew she won't come back. And that it was my fault. It took my parents 6 months to give up. It was the saddest thing I have ever seen. The moment when the last drop of hope left them. They held a funeral with an empty casket, and we moved soon after. They were never the same again. We grew distant, and I moved out after a year in the new place. This happened 6 years ago. My guilt only grew stronger over the years. I never spoke again with my friends. I tried to look up the game, but I couldn't find anything. I don't know how James knew about it. I wrote this because the anniversary of her disappearance was not that long ago, and I always feel worse around this time. I heard somewhere that telling someone or writing down my problems helps to ease the pain, so I thought it would be worth a try. I'm sorry, Emily.